See Byggmax Group today, the challenges that we face, the plan that we have, the financial implications, and then we'll conclude and have a short Q&A. Starting with Byggmax Group today, we are, for those to get the overview, about 5 billion Swedish as of end last year. We had 140 stores in total and end 2016, present in 4 countries in the Nordic region between the brands. Over 1,000 employees, big exposure to e-commerce with over 20%, and we have been good at reducing carbon dioxide over the last few years, reducing that by 19% since 2009. Byggmax is a growth company. Byggmax has been growing steadily since the year of the IPO in 2010, with organic growth averaging 7.7% and total growth just about 11%. We have been doing so at good profitability. This is the average EBIT margin over the last 3 years. Byggmax, some Nordic competitors, and some European competitors, big guys. As you can see, Byggmax is higher profitability than competitors. And we'll get back more to why this is and what that means for our future. We operate 3 segments, complementary business, all within low price, do-it-yourself market. Byggmax is the big one, the flagship brand, so to speak. It's over 80, almost 85% of the revenues. Was founded in '93, so we're turning 25 next year, by 3 Swedish entrepreneurs. It has an EBITDA margin of about 9.5%. And in simple terms, you could say that the core business here is for the sort of do-it-yourself enthusiast who knows what they want to do and what to build. And in terms of product, big focus or strength within building materials, wood, and concrete, and sheet materials, and these kind of things. We'll show you more in a second. Skånska Byggvaror was acquired January last year, so almost a year and a half ago. It's about 15% of the revenues for the group, and has a tradition and strength within particularly conservatories, uterum in Swedish, and related products regarding garden buildings, greenhouses, etc. And Skånska Byggvaror, Byggmax is traditionally a store model that has started with e-commerce. Skånska Byggvaror has a history of distance selling, catalog sales or e-commerce, and a model which builds on vertically integrated own design and home delivery. Very nice customer reviews and a lot of fans. Bildor is, as Jonathan said, founded a couple of years ago, acquired by Byggmax, and is an e-commerce only player in the do-it-yourself segment, representing about 2% of the total revenues for the group. Common between all of these is that they're all targeting consumers, first of all. Not everybody has that clear target in the do-it-yourself industry. All are focused on low price, and all are focused on having an easy shopping experience for the customer in slightly different ways. And in total, between the group, we have over 20% of share of e-commerce. I'll skip that one because I talked about it. The big brand then, Byggmax, almost 85% of the revenues, has a business idea of selling building materials at good quality products at the lowest possible price, and do that in a very customer-friendly way. Price leadership is really important. We have the lowest price. It's very easy and fast to shop. I'll show you the store concept in a second. We have stores that are, compared to competitors, the typical big boxes, a lot smaller and located close to where the customers live. A focused assortment of the core products and a very big assortment or wide assortment online. And it's really important for me to mention early on that I think you cannot talk about Byggmax by talking about the culture and the people at Byggmax. It's a very strong culture. I perceive it. I'm from the southern parts of Sweden. My family is from Småland since generations, sort of a entrepreneurial kind of roots. But I think this is in line with the Byggmax spirit. It's very entrepreneurial. Things happen really fast, very cost-focused, strong ownership of the business. Today we have 129 stores across Sweden, Norway, and Finland, and a good e-commerce position also within Byggmax. We will talk about our strengths later, and I'd like to highlight this early on. This is a really important part of Byggmax and Byggmax Group. This is the store concept for Byggmax, and there are a couple of points that are important to note here. It basically has 3 parts, and the core one is drive in. So if you're a customer, you drive up, you drive in here, you can load your products onto your car or your trailer. Or if you don't have a trailer, you can borrow it free of charge from Byggmax. You can also enter the indoor drive-in area, which we call the cold yard, which looks like this, to buy products which are under the roof, still in your car. You can drive out, get to what we call the measuring station. There would be a Byggmax employee to check your products and take care of you. And then you can enter what we call the warm store, the typical store environment, to buy extra things you need, accessories, etc. Of course, if you would like, you could also park outside and enter the store directly. But between the small size format, this may look big in retail in general, but compared to big box retailers, this is a small size format located close to the customers, and with drive-in and self-service, it's a unique format in this business, and it's a really important part of what makes up Byggmax. Looking at the market, I'm talking about that, we think we are operating in a good market. It has been growing around GDP. If you look at the 3 countries that Byggmax is in for the last 10 plus years, Sweden has grown a little bit faster. The market is mainly driven by renovation and maintenance needed from the consumer, about 70%. And if you would look at that market and look back 15 years in the time series, you would say that the share of GDP is almost constant. Whereas another part of the market, which is doing really well right now, we believe, what we read at least, is driven by new construction, new housing production, which is mainly then targeting tradesmen or professional buyers, which has historically been more up and down. And all consumer research say that the most important criteria when consumers choose their do-it-yourself store is low price. So it's important for us to communicate that we think that it's a seasonal business, and when we talk, there's always weather effects, and there has been regulatory effects in Sweden, etc. But over time, this has been a stable, price-driven market that we are in. We furthermore think that we are, as Byggmax Group, exposed to the 2 strongest trends within retail at the time. And these 2 are that hard discount concepts are capturing share across all retail categories. If you look at grocery, we have Aldi and Lidl rolling out across Europe, Netto, Scandinavia. Look at apparel, where I used to work, see clear winners in Primark, TJ Maxx. Sport, both international and more local examples, IKEA. So hard discounts is capturing share in a lot of places. And the second one is that online is growing really fast. And if you compare, the do-it-yourself industry, online penetration, this is numbers for Sweden last year. 2 other categories, it's still a less developed market or online category, online market, sorry, I should say, with good growth. And Byggmax is, of course, then well positioned to benefit from both of these trends. We do believe we have a set. This is a really important part for us when we've done the strategic review, to identify what are our core strengths, what are we really good at that we can build on going forward. And we believe we have very good and pretty unique strengths, particularly in combination. I talked already about some of them. I will share a little bit more on 1 or 2 of them soon, but we have a really strong brand, and we have the low price position in the markets we are in. I'll get back to that in a second. We have a unique store format we talked about drive-in, self-service, close to customers. We have a very good position within e-commerce. We have the lowest OPEX in the industry, and I'll share more about this also in a second. We have grown steadily, good track record of doing that, and we have this strong culture of cost consciousness and entrepreneurship that we can build on. Really important elements for us to lock down when we set the direction going forward. And expanding a bit on 2 of those, the brand is worth mentioning something because it's actually a pretty strong brand. We look at the 3 countries that Byggmax are in. We are top 3 in all markets, clear number 1 in the whole market where we've been first, and we are on the rise in the other 2 where we entered later. Consumer research will tell you that the top criteria for choosing a do-it-yourself store is low price in all of these 3 countries. And if you look specifically at who has the low price position, in these markets, Byggmax is number 1 in 2 of them, and number 2 in 1. And it's a really important part of who we are to be the price leader. So a strong brand with capturing the really important price leadership position. And we have the lowest OPEX in the industry. So comparing to the same competitor that we started out, this is a simplified view of operational expenses, basically between gross margin and EBIT. Because that's numbers that are published. But it's pretty clear that, and again, same time series figures, that we have lower operational expenses. And of course that enables us to have the lowest prices and the low price position and to serve markets in a profitable way. So summing that up, somebody got a phone call. Summing up the sort of first part where we are today, we believe that we have, in very short form, an attractive position in a good market and a set of unique strengths that we will build on going forward. We also have a couple of challenges that we need to address that we have identified and we believe clarified as part of the review that we have been doing. And you can say we've summarized them in two main challenges that our business is facing at the moment. And the one is that we call it the historic growth driver is approaching full potential. And we'll get back to what we mean by that. And the second one is we have a lot of focus areas and not all of them connected to the historic core business we have had. And we believe this has led to more uncertainty regarding growth prospects, falling margins, higher complexity, and a bit of a stretched organization. So what do we mean by historic growth driver approaching full potential and all this? Well, if you look back and say, for the acquisitions, what drove the growth of Byggmax Group? 75% of the sales growth was driven by new stores. And most of those stores came in our home market, Sweden, where we have earlier said we had a target number for it to grow, which we were getting close to. And of course, part of our strategy is to identify opportunities. We'll get back to that, but that's what we mean. Secondly, what do we mean by more focus areas? Well, a couple of things. These are developments of the last 2 years. We launched several business concepts, a services business, something called Byggmax Plus, which is a store concept for professionals, tradesmen. We launched a sales channel for professional buyers, B2B. A concept called Design Your Living, so interior design, home improvement concept. I was here on Kungsgatan in Stockholm, first pilot. We have focused on e-commerce and new businesses, and we have made 2 acquisitions in this short period. So quite a lot of things have happened. And we also have seen in parallel, and we'll get into this now, with that margins have been falling. And this is a question we've been getting, of course, quite a lot. And I think it's important to split that margin development in 2 parts, and we'll share our thoughts on it now. First, this is the EBIT margin over time since the IPO. The yellow bars, are the stated numbers. The orange ones are adjusted, and that doesn't mean we've just adjusted them to be positive for us, but we have taken out the effects of the goodwill changes and evaluation of Skånska Byggvaror to more reflect the underlying performance. And as you can see, it has been declining since 2010. This is the change in margin, comparing to the like-for-like sales growth during the same years. And the simple conclusion for this is that it's correlated in the early years. So when we've had a negative like-for-like, margin goes down. We have a positive like-for-like in 14, margin goes up, which I think is fairly retail basics. You get leverage or sales productivity, and you get margin development. But it's been quite different the last 2 years, where we had actually positive like-for-like sales growth, but margins have been going down. So what happened the last 2 years? A couple of things happened. So in total, we decreased by 2.2 percentage points during this period. You could say that the acquisitions we have made were businesses with lower margins, plus we put on some goodwill, which means amortization. So that drove down the margins by 1.5 percentage points. We have grown really fast with e-commerce, which has, we'll get back to that, lower margins, but also, of course, less capital tied up, and that's been a mix effect of about a half percentage point. And then the Norwegian krona has impacted us negatively about half a unit. There are some pure financial negative effects which are small from some starting the new businesses and cannibalization from new stores. And then the underlying sort of Byggmax store business is actually developing positively for the same period. So in summary, the challenge we think we face is that we have a historic growth driver which is approaching full potential, and a lot of focus areas which has been added during the last couple of years. Now to the strategic plan. And before moving into the strategic plan in detail, I'd like to share sort of a more of a maybe a emotional point. I think when we've done this work, at least I get the feeling that there's a lot of positive energy and opportunity here. This industry, do-it-yourself industry, I think in a nicely way people say is not very advanced compared to other retail categories. If you look at electronics or grocery or apparel, and there's a lot to do and a lot to value to bring to the consumer. And I don't want to put a number of years behind it, but it's behind. So there's a big opportunity to do something really exciting here. We believe hard discount will grow, as it has done in other retail categories. We believe, and we will show you, our stores are really well positioned to benefit from future trends. We believe we have a unique position to win in e-commerce, and we believe we have a very successful Byggmax model that can also be used to enter other categories. So that's the plan, or the intro to the plan. We've done the plan and basing it on our strengths, which we talked about earlier. The plan has 4 elements, of which we will talk about 2 today. The 4 elements are the foundation, and this is supposed to represent a house. I'm not sure if you got that sort of instinctively, but no one did. So that's fine. The foundation of the plan is to build on the culture, which is so strong within Byggmax. We call it best people, best culture. The second part is what we call best customer experience, and here is where a lot of things goes into the statement I just said about do-it-yourself not being very advanced. There's a lot of opportunities to learn from other retail categories to do a better customer offer around several parts. Then the part that we'll talk about today is that we believe we will aim for what we call simple and efficient operating model, and we believe in focused growth. We'll have a couple of growth drivers that can represent a big opportunity for us. And we would love to speak about these 2 parts, but for the purpose of this meeting, we have focused on the 2 above. And then we will start by simple and efficient operating model. And I will go through these. There are a couple of more slides to illustrate some of these points. I will do it pretty fast, because there's to give you a feeling of the kind of activities and initiatives we are taking to improve the business, but not to bore you with all the details, and then you may ask questions afterwards. The 4 areas under simple and efficient operating model are, we call the first one Simplify Byggmax, a couple of points under that. Second one is we call Transform Skånska Byggvaror, short for SKBD. Third one is about synergies, and the fourth one is about investing in efficiency. Simplify Byggmax, 3 parts to that. The first one is to focus on what we do well, and that also means not doing some other things. So there are some things which we will not do or pause. We have closed the Design Your Living pilot store. We are closing a B2B sales channel. It's not getting synergies for us. We do have, we believe, a good offer, and that we're developing worth commenting on for what they call in the UK the white van guys, the small entrepreneurs, which are almost behaving like consumers in their buying behavior. And they are a great customer for Byggmax, but to sell to a new housing production of millions and millions is not where we will focus going forward. The concept of Byggmax Plus, which is for more professionals, we have launched in 1 store, and we will keep it in 1 store for now and evaluate it. and the businesses which is called Proffsbyggt, a services business where you can buy your door and get it mounted, or buy your ventilation equipment and get it installed. We will keep in Sweden. We have earlier communicated that we will expand it throughout the Nordics, but we will keep it until we feel that we have a good operating model that is delivering what we want. So there is an element here of not doing things. We will specifically work further with Finland. Finland is a very interesting market, and it's the last one we entered. We have a very strong position with the Finnish customer. We have the no price position in Finland, as I showed before. We have very high brand awareness. We have gotten really good receptions of our advertising last couple of years, winning awards and lots of things. And as of this year, we are also having a very good and local relevant assortment in Finland, with 2/3 being either made in Finland or sold by Finnish companies. So, however, many probably follow Finland's economy has been a bit tough, retail climate likewise. Part of the review has been to identify opportunities for profitability improvements, and we believe there are more things we can do in Finland. So we are basically taking a deep dive and reviewing all areas to take a new approach into 2018 to try to aim to a bit higher profitability. E-commerce is worth talking about. We've commented earlier that it's something where we have a really great position, but it's also been a negative margin mixed effect for us, which is partly natural because margins are lower and capital is not tied up. We have been operating it at around break-even, a little bit, you could say, to get growth, and has grown fast, which has meant negative mix effects. We have now, as part of this review, identified a set of opportunities or actions that we are taking that could improve profitability while still growing fast. And we have started to take those actions and see some first positive results. So our focus forward is quite ambitious. It's to profitably grow faster than the market. That was the part about simplifying Byggmax. Now I move to Skånska Byggvaror, and I'm still on the efficiency part of the presentation. Skånska Byggvaror is, again, we have been the owner of Skånska Byggvaror for approaching 18 months, 5 quarters now. A couple of things to say. First of all, where we are today with Skånska Byggvaror. It is a company, as you said, focused on garden buildings and what we call refined building materials. So not products, more projects, so to speak, solutions delivered directly to customers' homes. Conservatories, greenhouses, maybe it's better to show the pictures, they're actually maybe more explanatory. Storage, doors and windows, those kind of products. It's a vertically integrated, so it means the design for some of the core products, or many of them, are done by Skånska Byggvaror themselves, produced by Skånska Byggvaror, directly delivered. Had history from mail order or catalog sales, moved into e-commerce, and now also last couple of years started to open stores or showrooms is, I guess, a better term. It's not a store where you go in and buy something that you bring home, it's a showroom where you order something, gets sent to your home. Present in Sweden, Norway and Denmark. That's Skånska Byggvaror today. We have now been the owner of Skånska Byggvaror for almost a year and a half, so to speak, and we have, I think performance could have been a bit better, particularly the last couple of quarters. We have stepped back and taken a bit bigger perspective of Skånska Byggvaror, and we think it's interesting to see that also within Skånska Byggvaror things have changed quite a lot the last couple of years, and we believe complexity has increased also there. I mean, also Skånska Byggvaror made 2 acquisitions of the last couple of years. If you look back only 3 years, which is a reasonable time period, there was 1 store below, or within rather, the head office in Helsingborg. Now there are 14, or showrooms maybe. Revenues through showrooms have actually then increased. Quite the change for an organization who's done 50 years of e-commerce. Product development was a really important driver of revenue growth earlier, much less now, as there are more categories and more price points to take care of. So quite the change also within Skånska Byggvaror. We believe there is great potential both in the long term, and it starts with some operational improvements. So we have started to take actions in some areas, or several areas I should say, that we believe will have effect. One is around assortment. We believe this is really important on the Byggwater. We have rebuilt the product teams that were not there anymore. We've set a new strategy, launched a project. We have taken a good look at the, let's say, efficiency of the sales and marketing model to improve the efficiency in the stores, in marketing, to start or push a little bit further, you could say, a shift to digital media. And we worked quite a bit with pricing and campaign management, installing pricing tools, setting processes, and organization accordingly. So this is what we have been doing already. We believe that longer term, Skånska Byggvaror has a great opportunity to be a niche leader, like they have been over many years and are in, for example, conservatories, within a space that, so a UK term called garden living. Greenhouse conservatories, greenhouses, cottages, sheds, storage, which actually fits Skånska Byggvaror's model really well with own design and home deliveries. So we are using the word transforming Skånska Byggvaror. There are two themes that are important. One is to build a bit broader product position within the garden living, within own design. And the second one is to create a modern and efficient sales and marketing model to less relying on sort of catalog and mail order and quite costly marketing efforts into a digital and showroom combination, which we believe is the future. This will take some time. Our plans are that this will take about 18 to 24 months. And we think it's sort of building on the operational improvements we already started. It's in the same direction. And it is since its own design and vertically integrated, it's a good margin business from the product side. So we think there's a good profitability improvement when we get to this position. That's Skånska Byggvaror. We believe that such a business has a really good fit with Byggmax in two parts. It has some really good complementary strengths that I think good retailers would like. Own design, selling projects, not products, so much more of an emotional connection with the consumer, niche leadership, touching the do-it-yourself customer, but in parts a little bit different do-it-yourself customer than we do today with Byggmax. But still having a common foundation in that we are in do-it-yourself, we have the lowest price, and we have a model which builds on easy to shop and high customer satisfaction. Two more areas, and I'll go a bit more quickly through those. We think one is capturing group synergies, and yes, two sub-points to this. One is to say we are now a group, we are 3 companies, let's see what we can do together. We've done a little bit of that on the logistics side, on marketing production side. We are doing some administration things right now regarding salaries, and we will keep looking and identify opportunities to share things and be as efficient as we possibly can. If we want to have the lowest price, we need to keep having the lowest costs, and wherever synergies we can find that are not just on paper but actually real, we will go after. Secondly, you could say when we get to the growth part, it's important for us to grow in a way that we get sort of leverage or synergies with our existing business, so we can drive profitable growth. And we can maybe come back to comment on that when we have talked about the growth part of the initiatives that we are launching. The last part is about investing in efficiency, and we think that if we want to stay ahead of the game and be as cost efficient as possible, we need to do this. This is very much connected to IT, tools and systems, and for us we are starting with the head office side with some administrational efficiency improvements, but there are also things that are definitely there on the store side and logistics side going forward. All in all, we believe that this has a potential to improve the profit margins by about 1 percentage point, EBIT or EBITDA, and this is while stepping up organic sales growth. Now we will move to the part which we call focused growth. And it's important for us to start by saying that we believe that, as we started out saying, Byggmax is a growth company. We will continue to be a growth company. That's what we think will drive value, but also is very much in line with the culture and entrepreneurial spirit of Byggmax. We would like to focus growth and identified three what we believe are the core growth drivers that we will invest in and that will drive growth for us. And those are new stores, e-commerce, and assortment development. We will go through all three, and you will be happy to hear that I will not do all of the talking in this part of the presentation. You will hear from my colleagues. I'll talk about new stores. Firstly, we have been doing a review of the potential for the existing store format in the existing markets. And we have found more opportunities to grow than we had previously thought, which is very positive, of course, for us. We had 128 Byggmax stores as of year end. We had previously communicated that we thought we could do 180 stores. We now believe we can do 210 stores for the existing format in the existing markets. And we've done a pretty thorough review, both analytically and sort of qualitatively, and these are not just numbers. There is a specified location for each and single one of the numbers we have here. So we feel optimistic about the growth opportunities in stores that we have identified. When we have looked at the market, we have also found that there is a portion of the market that we are not really addressing. In a simplified way, this is Sweden, this is size of town or city. So cities over 100,000 inhabitants represent about 35% of the Byggmax addressable market. Here we have a high penetration today. We are very present. Mid-sized cities is about 45% of the market, and we have a really good presence. And then small towns, less than 25,000 people, is about 20% of the market, and we are not there in any major presence. So we believe this is an additional potential in addition to the earlier revised up growth potential number. But we will think we need a slightly different store format to capture it. So we have developed a new format, and let me nuance what we mean by new format. We still mean the same Byggmax store, the same experience, the same brand. It's Byggmax, period. But it's an extra cost-efficient store that we believe can turn a profit at lower revenues. We will have a bit less generous opening hours. We will have a bit more narrow assortment, not touching the core categories, but the other ones. We can operate with a bit smaller sites, so locations, and we can optimize, we think, the routines and the staffing a bit further. Our focus is still to have the lowest prices, important to say, still provide the Byggmax experience, but we believe we can target a good profitability at a lower turnover, because of course in a smaller town the turnover potential is lower. So we are testing this, and we will test 2 this summer. We will have one in the very north of Sweden, in Kalix, in August, then one in the midst of the Småland territory, Vimmerby, Hultsfred, and Mariannelund. We will open in Mariannelund in July. So we believe for the new stores part that there is opportunity to grow both the existing format and into smaller towns. This is maybe a slightly complicated chart. I'll say something before I get into it. I think it's important for us, when we have done the review and the plans, we have of course spent time to say what will the role of stores be going forward, with e-commerce growing in the retail industry and stores playing a role in each category. And we believe that e-commerce will be really important, but the stores will also be really important, and particularly our stores. And we would like to detail the picture of the market a little bit to make our point. And let's see if we can get through this. This is the do-it-yourself market in the countries that Byggmax are in. This is the share of market for the major categories. So out of the market, building materials is about 25% of the market, which is where Byggmax is really strong. If you look at the online penetration today, it varies a lot by category. So it's very low within building materials and quite high within tools and machines, for example, and power tools, etc. And there are, of course, different factors affecting why online shares is high and low, but one really important one is that building materials are heavy and bulky and really costly to ship around. So less prone for online-only players. Of course, you can order your things online and maybe pick it up at the store, or you can send it through the store, but there is a benefit for having a store, or whatever we will call it in the future. So it's important for us to communicate that we believe that stores will have a role. The role will probably evolve. It could be more of a pickup point or a distribution center, but stores will be an important part to capture the market going forward. And we believe particularly our stores, because they are relevant as we have the strongholds in these categories. Byggmax building materials. We have a strategy of having smaller stores close to customers, creating logistics nice effects, and we have the lowest costs. So the multi-channel approach we of course think is the very best one, but it's an important part for us to explain a little bit about the market when we think about stores as a big driver for us. And with that, we will move into e-commerce, and I'll let Jonathan talk about that. Representing Byggmax Group.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about e-commerce, and we're starting off with a little bit of history. Byggmax started off quite early with stock levels online, home delivery, and so on. But Byggmax has also done a fantastic journey in developing digital tools, such as the building planner, for instance. I think you all have heard of it. Leading to a very good market position in both Sweden and in Norway, with Sweden being the strongest one. Byggmax has a lot of strengths, but we have picked a few of them to build on further. The first one is to leverage the store network further, meaning that for the customer, we'll get a really good online omni experience. But also on the cost side, we can get a cost advantage through, for instance, lower shipping costs. The second thing is the brand. Well, for the customer, we'll aim for building a really good online experience through building a destination. And for the cost side, we will always have a cost advantage in terms of customer acquisition cost when you have a well-known brand. Last but not least, we will aim for increasing the assortment. And we will do that through using Builder to some extent. And when talking about Builder, we have a good synergy because we have both have synergies in backend, common buying, and so on. But we also have an internal benchmark, meaning how to execute things, but also how much should things cost when you're a pure e-commerce player. Last but not least, we will use Builder in order to test new things, everything from new technology, but also in new categories. And when Builder strikes gold, we will leverage it by putting it at Byggmax. So, to sum things up a little bit, we will aim for above market growth, and we will do it by building a great customer experience and through expanding the assortment. On the cost and profitability side, Byggmax already has rather low OPEX. We think that we can bring it down further in the e-commerce operation through executing it like a pure e-commerce player, with of course data-driven execution and decision-making and so on. But also, Byggmax has the stores, and Byggmax has a brand, which also gives us a great cost advantage. The multi-channel advantage is a great advantage here. And we'll aim for higher growth than market, but at the same time increasing profitability. And I think with those words, I'm leaving it to Per.
Okay. Assortment at Byggmax. Having the right assortment in the stores is crucial when you're a retailer. So we've been investing a lot of efforts and time into constantly developing the assortment that we have in the stores, both locally, Sweden, Norway, Finland. We've been doing major projects like the Byggmax 2.0, which I think that Magnus talked to you a little bit about if you were present then. It has been a very important milestone for us, but we've been doing a lot of big efforts before that, but also after that. It's an extremely important part of what we're doing at the purchasing in Byggmax in total. And we will definitely continue to do that in the future. That's very important. This is the chart that Mattias showed you before, and as you can see, this is where we are strong, the stronghold that's been in for many years. If you look here, there's a really interesting category here, garden, which I know that you read about in the information that we sent out at 3 o'clock, but also Mattias mentioned it. And it's gardening, and I'll try to explain why it's important, why there's a potential there, and what we're doing right now in this category. First of all, these are, if you look on these 3 bullet points here, these are some of the fundamental strengths that Byggmax had when it was founded 25 years ago. It's a drive-in, and why is that important? 2 reasons. First of all, it's easy for the customers. You bring a car in, you load the building material, and you leave. This is one reason. The other reason is that it's really a cost-efficient way of running the business. By having the consumer doing the work themselves, it's a good service for them, but it's also a way for us to keep the costs down. So the drive-in has been a fundamental strength for Byggmax from day one. We want to do garden with a drive-in solution. It doesn't exist on the market today. Second, the discount. Mattias mentioned it before. To have a discount strategy in any category, we believe is a key to the future. It will continue to change business after business and to be winning concepts in each business. And we think there's an opportunity in garden also. And the third one is that the focused assortment, we want to have all things necessary in the garden area to do the most frequent garden projects. Just like when Byggmax started with building material, it was 1,300 products. Some competitors would have 100,000 products. We have much less assortment. Why is that important? Because it keeps costs down. So we want to build on the same strengths that Byggmax was built on 25 years ago. This is well, it's a sketch of the Byggmax store that we will open in a few weeks' time in Borlänge, just to show you how it works. And then you can see how it correlates to the Byggmax ordinary business, the image that Mattias showed you before. You bring your car in here with the trailer, or you can borrow a trailer. And you drive all around here. You can park here if you want. You can go into the heated section of this store, or you just bring your car into, let's see here, into this area here. When you're in here with your trolley, you can load all the heavy bulky material. Typically with the present competition today in this segment, you would have to walk into the store, have a trolley, a hand-pushed trolley, and go to the back of the store and to load all the stuff you need, and then roll it through the cashier, and then load it into the car. So that is not very customer friendly in my opinion. So we want to do this the Byggmax way with the drive-in solution. And so we believe there's a strong possibility to build on that. And in terms of assortment, a small assortment, but still all things necessary in order to do the most frequent projects. We believe that there are some products here, specifically the soil and fertilizers, that will have the same role as the timber has in the Byggmax concept today. The timber for Byggmax today is the destination category. We need a destination category also in the garden format. So we believe that the soil and fertilizers will be the destination category. It's 100% suited for the easy handling through the drive-in solution. And of course, a lot of other things that you will need. But in total, quite a small assortment compared to the competition in order to keep costs down and focus on the volume products. Just one thing to mention also, the third bullet point that we had was on the discount. So we also believe that there's a possibility in this category, when you look on the purchase prices and the sales price, there's a possibility to have an attractive role and still have the right price, to be a discount player, to keep the cost down on operations, to have the right price on the products, but still have an okay margin on it. So we think that all these 3 bullet points are possible in this category. If you look on what we're doing right now, there's 2 stores that we will launch within weeks. The first one will open in a few weeks' time, and then we'll have another one a few weeks later. And one is in Borlänge, that will be the first one, and Vellinge will be sometime shortly after that, still this year. I received an email today with a photo taken from the Borlänge site, and the asphalt was still steaming, and the construction was being built up, and it was really exciting. So I feel it's very exciting to see this site when it's up and running in not so long time. That will be really good fun, actually. And with that, I think I'll leave it to Matthias with summary, I think.
Thank you, Per. Yeah, summarizing the plan before moving into the financials. Comment on M&A, as some have a question for us. We have been doing some acquisitions last couple of years. We are saying that we don't believe it's a strategic priority for us to actively look for acquisitions. If we should do that, it should be in the light of the growth strategy that we now have set. Of course, we are opportunistic and look at things as they come up, but it's not a strategic priority for us going forward. Summing up the growth potential over the next few years, we believe there is opportunity for good organic growth. We believe that new stores will still be a main driver. E-commerce will be a big one, and assortment development will also contribute significantly. 10 to 15% is what we believe the potential is. We'll get back to the timing of these things in a little while. And before moving into the financials, I'd just like to summarize this because it's quite a lot that it goes maybe a little bit fast. And I think a couple of points. If we would say summarize for us then what's the plan? Two or three charts to take. Who are we then with this strategy? I think we see ourselves as a growth-focused, hard discount retailer focused on consumers. We operate and build on the unique and low-cost format, which is Byggmax, proven. We have 2 additional businesses, also linked to low-price do-it-yourself and easy shopping experience. And we have a wide range of products through building materials course at Byggmax and garden products and Skånska Byggvaror, and a wide range online through our e-commerce opportunities. We aim to deliver fast organic growth, store expansion, e-commerce and assortment development, and have the best efficiency and profitability in the industry, with having a simple and operating model, the culture of cost consciousness, and take out efficiency and synergies that we believe are possible. The plan, which we have showed you with quite a bit of detail, can be summarized very simply in this grey house, we believe. We believe that there are 2 fundamentals to it: to have a simple and efficient operating model, and to have focused growth, or growth engines, as someone called it. And there are 2 really important themes. One is to base it on the strengths that we have identified, and the other one is to achieve scale effects for profitable growth. And this is connecting back to what I said a little bit earlier about synergies. We believe that when we open, if we are successful with a small format, of course we can use the same buying organization, same assortment team, the same regional managers, there is synergies on scale here. Same thing goes with the garden products, same thing goes with some of the e-commerce opportunities. So that's the aim and the goal. From a customer perspective, I think what we're trying to do, this is maybe striking a little bit of an emotional point again, is not to go back in time, but is to provide a modern or an updated version of what was once such an amazing and successful fast growth Byggmax concept. This is the store back in the days. This is today, and hopefully in a few years we'll have future over there. But a modern approach to what has been a proven and successful Byggmax concept. That's just a quick summary. We have, of course, spent some time thinking about how to execute this and made our plans. We'll not go through the detail, I will show you some highlights. We have, there's a lot of detail, but set a bunch of initiatives for this. It's important for us to communicate that some of these things will take time. We think top 10 initiatives will take 18 months plus, a little bit depending on which one. And we have a plan with KPIs and milestones to follow this up and to measure our progress. And we have set a bunch of KPIs and milestones to evaluate. And most of these are things that we report and you can follow. And the milestones we of course commit to communicating how we're progressing. Some things will be we can communicate already in the third quarter, what was the first reactions from the garden stores and the mini concepts, but it's probably be only the first evaluation, and we can get back with full evaluation later on. But in order to execute this, we have a clear plan with the initiatives in place. That concludes the part on the strategic plan. Now I'll hand over to Pernilla to talk about the financial impacts.
Yes. So let's start with the Byggmax financial profile today and the development the last 6 years. We have a steady sales growth, organic growth of 7.7% compound annual growth rate, a good margin but declining, and a strong cash flow. We have generated more than 2 billion during the last 6 years. Byggmax has a seasonal business. 2/3 of our sales are generated during Q2 and Q3, and it will continue to be a seasonal business also with the new strategy. As a result of a new strategy, we aim then to step up organic growth from historical 7.7% to 10 to 15%. And we also aim then to improve and stabilize the EBITDA margin at 9 to 10% and continue to have a strong cash generation. The timing of the financial effects. We aim to step up to 10 to 15% organic growth based on new stores, on the assortment development, on the e-commerce. And we aim to ramp up during 2018 or 2019, depending on the sharpening of the mini concept and the garden concept. The 1% in EBITDA margin improvement from 2019. It's a rather straightforward plan when it comes to using of capital. We will generate a lot of capital. We have some people here from Handelsbanken, so I think they will be happy to see that we will pay down our debt. We will use it for dividend, and we will invest in our strategic priorities: new stores, existing stores, and IT. Then our financial goals are updated then as a result of this new plan. And the plan means then increased ambition for organic growth. We will no longer focus on acquisition. So going forward, we will have organic net sales growth of 10 to 15%. We will also step up regarding the EBITDA goal. We now have not less than 9%, and we will then have an EBITDA margin of 9 to 10%. So here we have then the identified potential for increased profitability. And we will have the same goal regarding dividend at least 50% of net profit. And over to you.
Thank you, Pernilla. Quick, and then just some final conclusions, and then we move into Q&A. One page, I believe. I think what we've tried to show you is, in summary, and what we feel strongly, is that we have an attractive position in a good market with a set of unique strengths that we can build on. Strong track record of growing. We lost profitability the last few years as we focused away a bit from the traditional core. But with the new focus strategy, building on these strengths, we think we can bring back good organic growth, step up, and good profitability. Streamline the operating model, stabilize margins, still being industry leading, and increase organic growth to double digit growth rate, focusing on the core business and close to the core. Thank you.
Thanks.